Welcome to this Forge College Explainer. Today, we are taking a deep dive into securing your Solana endpoints. We're going to bridge the gap between architectural theory and practical application, taking API design and turning it into battle-tested, highly robust Express.js middleware tuned specifically for the unique demands of Solana RPC traffic. If you've been working with Web3 integrations, you already know that keeping your endpoints easily accessible to legitimate users while shielding them from abuse is a really delicate balancing act.
All right, let's just jump right into our blue point for today. We'll be hitting 6 key steps: the API security bouncer, strict CORS guest lists, the rate-limiting bartender, building the middleware code, stress testing the defenses, and finally, getting to those production-ready next steps.
So, step 1, the API security bouncer, or as I like to call it, welcome to Club Solana.
I want you to think of your Solana API like a super exclusive, incredibly popular nightclub. It's Friday night, the line is literally around the block, and today we're hiring the staff to protect the HTTP surface serving your critical RPC calls. We need a single-file Express middleware script to manage both the front door and the bar. It's got to be smart, it's got to be fast, and honestly uncompromising, making absolutely sure only the right traffic gets through to your backend, and that once they're inside, they don't just consume all your resources.
Moving right along to Section 2, strict CORS guest lists and the golden rule of API security.
All right, meet our bouncer, CORS. This bouncer checks the guest list at the door using one absolute fundamental philosophy, the fail-closed approach. Basically, if you aren't explicitly on the approved list, you do not get in, period. You know, developers sometimes make the mistake of leaving CORS wide open just to avoid annoying configuration headaches during testing, but by defaulting to fail closed, we completely prevent accidental open access. If an incoming request shows up missing its origin headers entirely, our middleware just automatically rejects it. It is a really simple rule, but it shuts down a massive surface area for those sneaky, subtle browser vulnerabilities.
Now, what happens when legitimate guests actually pass inspection? The server hands back some very specific, concrete header values. If you're on the list, it explicitly echoes your origin right back in the access control allow origin header. We also lay out exactly what methods you're allowed to use, like get, post, or options. And we even hand you a handy little ticket stub, the X rate limit remaining header, so you know exactly how many more requests you can make before you get cut off.
Here's a fun fact. Before a browser actually sends a complex request, it often sends a quick preflight options request just to check the house rules. When that happens, our bouncer responds with a super swift and efficient 204 no content HTTP status. Think of this as the bouncer's quick nod. It grants permission, it sends all the correct CORS headers, but it completely drops the body data, saving bandwidth and keeping your latency incredibly low.
Okay, so they made it safely past the bouncer. That brings us to Section 3, the rate-limiting bartender, where we manage their quotas.
Once inside, our patrons meet the rate-limiting bartender. This bartender is strictly monitoring how many RPC calls you're consuming, usually based on your unique IP address or API key. And depending on the traffic behavior you actually want to allow, you've got 2 main algorithms. The token bucket approach basically lets clients chug a few requests really quickly. This is fantastic for the short, rapid bursts of polling we see all the time with Solana SDKs. On the flip side, the sliding window approach forces them to sip slowly, enforcing a really strict, consistent average over time. But for a Solana RPC node, that burst-friendly token bucket is almost always the crowd favorite.
All right, let's transition from theory into practice with Section 4, building the middleware code using Node.js and Express.
So how do we translate bouncers and bartenders directly into plain JavaScript middleware logic? Well, we break the code down into easily digestible chunks. First, we initialize a default object to keep our allowed origins and quotas all in one central spot. Next, we have our isOriginAllowed function. That's what brings our fail-close logic to life. Then, handle CORS steps in to dynamically set the vary and access control headers. After that, we have client ID, which plays detective by extracting an X API key or falling back to the IP address if it needs to. And finally, check rate limit handles the actual token math. For local testing, we're just tracking these client IDs against their remaining tokens using a simple in-memory map store. It's elegant, it's readable, and is highly effective.
But hey, code is literally nothing without proof. Let's hit Section 5, stress testing the defenses, and fire up curl to see how this builds a fortress.
Let's actually open up the terminal here. Running these 3 steps is going to give us a pretty thrilling stress test. Step 1, we send a totally standard request from an allowed origin. We should see a victorious 200 OK and watch our remaining quota drop by exactly 1. Step 2, we manually trigger that preflight options check just to verify we get our Swift 204 no content response. And then step 3, this is where it gets fun. We write a quick bash loop to just hammer the endpoint, intentionally exceeding our capacity quota. We really want to verify firsthand that our victorious 200 OK changes to a firm rejection the exact millisecond that quota is spent.
Now, as we all know, sometimes things just don't go according to plan. If your terminal isn't showing the expected success, here is a rapid-fire debugging checklist that will pinpoint the culprit immediately. First, did you actually include the origin header in your curl command? Remember the fail-closed rule: no origin, no entry. Next, try printing the client ID directly in your middleware to make sure your map keys are actually registering properly. Third, verify that your in-memory store isn't accidentally resetting between requests. And lastly, if you've already moved over to a distributed setup, go double-check your Redis connection.
When step 3 of that stress test actually works, meaning a client gets a bit too bursty and completely runs out of tokens, our bartender cuts them off. The server just slams down a massive HTTP 429 too many requests response. But we aren't completely heartless. We don't just leave them hanging. We include a retry after header alongside it. This is an absolutely crucial best practice. It tells the client exactly how many seconds they have to cool off before they can order another RPC call. That lets developers build intelligent back-off routines right into their dabs, instead of just blindly retrying and clogging up your network.
All right, let's look ahead to our 6th and final section, production-ready next steps, taking us way beyond local testing.
So our in-memory test script, it works perfectly on a local machine, but we have to make sure it scales safely in a real multi-tenant environment. Think about it. When you deploy a Solana app, you probably have multiple API servers sitting behind a load balancer. If you just use local memory, a user could completely drain their quota on server A and then just casually ping server B for a fresh batch of tokens. No way. To operationalize this best practice, we have to make our rate limit state external and atomic. That means swapping out that local memory map for a shared Redis cache. On top of that, to stop race conditions during heavy traffic, we ensure our token deductions use Lewis scripts within Redis for perfect atomicity. Throw in some explicit whitelist and blacklist management, tune your capacity based on real-world traffic profiles, and boom, you have an enterprise-grade gateway.
I want to highlight this defining thought from our source material. Prefer fail-closed defaults for CORS so accidental missing headers do not open your API. This quote really anchors our entire philosophy for this explainer. Look, exact defensive header handling is computationally cheap to implement, but it is absolutely essential if you want to prevent subtle, devastating browser vulnerabilities. Basically, don't leave the front door open just because it's easier. Build the bouncer.
So, that leaves us with one final question. Are you ready to operationalize your security? Are you ready to move from simple in-memory testing to a fully distributed, multi-tenant Solana RPC gateway? To learn exactly how to migrate this logic over to Redis, add comprehensive quota monitoring, and really take the next step in mastering your Solana API integrations, head over to forge.college. You'll find everything you need there to harden your Web3 infrastructure. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy building.